Religious studies professor Diana Pasulka recently appeared on a podcast and spoke about Chris Bledsoe and his Easter 2026 prediction that the return of Jesus Christ would happen, right? And this is a big prediction that Chris just revealed, especially that part about the Son of God, Jesus Christ, coming back on Easter 2026. He's proclaimed that he's had this vision and was told that this was going to happen. And Diana Pasulka responds to this particular prediction. Now, before we get to Diana Pasulka's comments, let's take a look at the original prediction made by Chris Bledsoe.
Exact alignment will happen in 2026 at Easter.
What will happen?
The star will, the alignment she told me about, that the star of Regulus would be on the horizon in front of the Sphinx. At that moment, there'd be a new knowledge. Well, I had no idea if this was even possible, but these astronomers run it through the machines, and it comes out that that star is going to come up on the horizon in Easter of 2026. And from that point forward, they started remote viewing the state. Government did. And now you hear it all over TV. 2026, that's the big date. 2027, that year, something's going to happen. Armageddon, you hear it all over. You hear it on TV. If you study, I've heard even, well, I won't say names, but
Please do.
well, Lou Elizondo, right? Lou's mentioned that date. A lot of people have.
Easter 2026.
Well, the year 2026. I gave him the specific time. And it was with Robert Grant that I told him about this alignment and all. And then he's like, oh my God. He's been looking for this ruby, this little ruby you have to find and place it between the paws of the Sphinx to make this event that he knows is going to happen in 2026. I said, Robert, it's not a ruby, it's the star of Regulus. And he looks at me, he's like, oh my God, it's the King star. So what's going to happen, I don't know. But I think it's possible that's the return of
Christ.
Yeah. Or the lady and the whole heavenly host living with us, Jesus. That's the first time I've ever said that in my life, publicly. You're the first.
All right, so now you've heard from Chris's own mouth, his own prediction, right? Easter 2026, the return of Jesus Christ. Let's get to Diana's response to this. Now, before we do, I do have to introduce the sponsor for today's video. And listen, y'all, I need that to support the channel, right? I need these sponsorships, to continue to do this. So if you feel like supporting Vetted and want to see me continue making these videos, please take a second to just listen to today's sponsor. And if you want, get the product, right? That would really help out a lot. Definitely use my link and promo code. Hit the clip. Can we talk about my balls? You see, I use Manscaped in my real life. So the idea that they would send me a new razor that they've just released is awesome. It's called the Chairman Plus. This is a phenomenal razor, y'all. Has interchangeable heads that are magnetic locking, which makes it really easy to switch them out, right? So you can get precision, you can get the sideburns, I can clean up my beard here, right? I go all over the place with my facial hair, and this kind of razor allows me to live that life, y'all. Take care of your face, take care of your balls. And ladies, if you're listening to this, this is a great gift for guys. I promise you, this is one of those real products that guys actually use. Please make sure to use my code down below in the description with the code VETTED, VETTED. That's a promo code which will get you 20% off and free international shipping. So check out the link, use the code, and begin your Manscaped journey today.
If you could speak generally then on this, because just recently Chris made a claim that he thinks the second coming of Christ could be in Easter 2026. And given your particular wheelhouse of religious studies, when people make claims like that, what goes through your head?
Yeah. So, first, what goes through my head is that, in fact, the first conversation that was truly amazing that I had with Chris was on the Wrightsville Beach here, which is this beautiful beach. And it was at a MUFON meeting, and it was the sun had gone down. It was really a beautiful night. And Chris was telling me about the apocalyptic visions that he was having. And I already knew by that time that this was something that absolutely happened to people who were experiencers. But I also told him this. I said, Chris, people have been having these apocalyptic visions for over 2,000 years, and we're still here. I said, so it could possibly be that, this might happen. I mean, who am I to say that it's not going to happen? This might happen, but then again, it might not happen. Okay, so I don't think that, it's because at that point he had a huge garden, and he was giving all of his food away to people because he wanted to make sure that he could feed his family during this time that he was certain was going to happen.
You see, and this is part of the problem with predictions like this. People start to take action based on those predictions, right? Start giving away everything because you think the end is coming, and then the end doesn't come and you gave away everything or whatever. People give away their life savings, items they own, whatever. They just change their life. They stop living life because they think a better life is coming. Right? And it's like, you're best to play it safe. Even if you think there's an afterlife, you're not for certain. So you might as well just live your best life on earth now. Right? And this is the problem with predictions like this. To be transparent, I am not a fan of making these kind of predictions that Chris Bledsoe made. Because what's going to happen when that prediction doesn't come true? Is there any accountability? What if he, actioned people, thousands of people across the world to do things in preparation for this, and then it doesn't happen? Is he going to go back and pick up the pieces? Or what? Now you say, Patrick, well, he's just repeating what he's been told, All right. I guess that's fair. I don't really know what to say to that, right? At the end of the day, people can make their own decisions, but I'm just telling you my opinion. I'm just not a fan of this. Let me know what you think in the comments.
We're talking 200 years before Jesus is around. There are apocalyptic visionaries in what's called Second Temple Judaism, and they're certain that the end time is next week, right? When Jesus is killed by Rome by crucifixion, his followers think that at any moment it's going to happen. Okay. When I talk to experiencers, they also tell me this is going to happen. This is going to happen probably next week or something like that. So there's an urgency. So the way I think about it is that these folks they're accessing some knowledge that could be beyond the time that we consider. We're in linear time. Linear time kind of plots along, right? So they could be accessing a truth of some time past or future. I don't know. I'm not disclaiming that that this could possibly happen at some point. But generally, people, part of the reason that I got into this was because I was concerned, because it was 2011. This is before I looked at UFOs. And my students were talking about the Mayan apocalypse, and they thought it was going to happen in 2011. And there was a man in California who's since passed away, who basically had a date. And he said, this is going to happen. There were parents that were giving this man their life savings, their children's college savings for this man, because everyone thought that the event was going to happen. The dissolution of the earth was going to happen on this, I think it was in May 2020. 2011 in May. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that I felt an obligation to teach a course on the apocalypse so that students wouldn't be so frightened, because they were very afraid. And I thought, there was a person who committed because they thought it was going to happen. And I not a responsible thing to do. because most likely it's not going to happen. And I said the same thing then as I'm saying today. Do I know that it's not going to happen? No. Do I have good probability that it's not going to happen? Yes. Has there been a whole history of people proclaiming this? Yes.
And I had to bleep that part out just because YouTube and things like that. But basically, she was saying someone, unalived themselves because of this, right? And again, this is the issue, right, with these kind of predictions and the fear, right, that you put into people. Even if you're saying, no, it's going to be a glorious time. Well, if it's a new beginning, you've got to get rid of the old to bring in the new. So I don't know how it's going to be so glorious, right? And even if so, again, what is Chris's responsibility if this doesn't happen, right? What if people make all these changes in their life, do all these things, and then it doesn't happen? What is his responsibility? Because I'm sure if it happens, he's going to want to take the credit. But if it doesn't, is he going to evade the credit, right? And that's the issue. All the glory, none of the responsibility. And I think it's dangerous, in my opinion, to say those type of things. But at the same time, we're all adults and we can decide for ourselves. So I hope, you take those things with a grain of salt. But again, do your own thing. But I appreciate what Diana is saying, right? I don't think she really is a fan of it either. And again, people just make these predictions and then, it doesn't happen, right? Or you make it so general that you can then claim it happened. The wind will blow tomorrow. Okay. What does that mean? The wind will blow somewhere on Earth tomorrow, right? Like things like that. I mean, that's an extreme example, but you get my point. So anyway, here's Diana Pasulka responding to Chris Bledsoe's Easter 2026 prediction. And it doesn't sound like, in my opinion, she thinks, one, it's going to happen. And two, this is just what people say, right? So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. We'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.